So I feel like I'm reading for two separate groups altogether. The first group, I feel that there might have been some, this is purely relationships. There might have been some new information that came to light. There might have been some decisions as it pertains to like separating yourself from a significant partner. There might have been like, you're either breaking up with them, you have broken up with them in the recent, the past 3 weeks or so, or there's contemplation about breaking up. And then others of you, the relationship might have been going really well. There was a lot of excitement. There's a lot of chemistry, but there's lack of compatibility. And so you're going through a period of reassessing whether or not it's worth continuing. I see that the chemistry, the passion is very, very strong, but innately it's difficult for you to see a sense of direction where the relationship is headed because you're projecting into the future. And while you have this really strong emotional connection with another person, you just don't know how it's going to come together. You don't know how, you don't know like 2-3 months or 2 or 3 years down the road where you both are going to be either in career, either in, geography. You don't know how things are going to work. So I feel that a lot of you, this is weighing heavily on your mind and you're trying to make, you're trying really hard to make things work, but you don't realistically see how it's going to be. And then for others of you in a relationship too, I feel like some information came to light and you're kind of like, you have to take off those, rose tinted glasses and look at the situation, look at the reality of the situation and see what you need to do. I feel that many of you might have recently separated from somebody, might have left them behind, or either are geographically separated from another person. And so you're trying to, take care of responsibilities in your own life. What I'm also feeling as well is I feel that some of you who are in, relationships right now where you have children, you're sharing a home together, you're sharing a property together, and you are still very much with your partner. There's a lot of, so those of you who are especially married or sharing space with a significant partner, and especially if you have children together, I do feel that there's lack of compromise. There's lack of compatibility in the ways in which you navigate what the energies with around each other. It's been a little bit trying. It's been a little bit taxing. I feel like you're with somebody who's actually quite, emotionally supportive, but I feel like they're a little bit more practical, meaning they're not like the romantic type. They're not somebody that gives you a lot of, reassurance, nurturing, feedback, and they're not very gentle. I feel like they're more on the practical front where they take care of real world responsibilities. So they might seem a little bit abrasive. They might seem like, like rough around the edges, like scruffy is what I'm feeling. And so you're not getting your emotional needs met. And I do feel in that situation, you need to have a conversation, because I do sense like, if you're in a relationship and you're not completely 100% emotionally nurture, I feel some of you have you're looking outside of the relationship. Not that you're stepping outside of it, but it seems almost as if you have that emotional void that's not being fulfilled in your existing relationship. So automatically, as a water sign, even I feel that you're making these emotional connections. You're seeking these emotional connections from other people outside of the relationship. So it's leaving room for temptation. That's all it's saying. And that's something you want to be very careful about, okay? And I feel like this is not just, a Cancer reading. This is just human nature with all kinds of relationships and with all kinds of signs. So if something is not being, if your emotional needs are not being met in a relationship, it is really, really important to have a discussion so that, you or the other partner are not succumbing to temptation and seeking other people to fill up that void that you should be getting in your own relationship. So that's something to be very mindful about. I do feel there is like strong attraction, but very, very strong incompatibility with somebody that you're personally involved with romantically. So this is something you want to, just be realistic about. If the communication, if compatibilities are just not strong, it's making things very difficult to fall into place and to have a harmonious union with another person. And then for others of you, I feel like the financial situation is not showing up strongly. So I feel finances looks very good. I do feel that you're not as busy as you were the past few months. I felt like very, very busy energy coming through for December. And I feel like this is a little bit more relaxing. The next 2 weeks seems to me to be a little bit more relaxing. And I do sense as well, there seems to be a lot of and like mixing business with pleasure. And there might have been a lot of celebrations at work. There might have been a lot of deals that have gone through, so there's a celebratory energy at work. There might have been a lot more going out with coworkers and mingling with the boss and the higher ups. So just be careful about you know maintaining that professional distance with the people that you're working with. Okay, so don't blur the lines. Overall, things look very, very good. I just feel like, some certain relationships need to be sorted out, mainly because there are issues with compatibilities overall. We are ending this spread here with the star, and the star is basically your financial situation. I feel that it's looking very good, it's progressing, and it's becoming, a lot more stable than the past few months, which is always a nice thing to see for you guys. Okay, so what I also feel here is this is coming in as an advice. I feel a lot of you, they're saying, and obviously this is going to apply for some, not everybody that's watching. What they're saying is this, okay? It's really important for you to incorporate the things that you believe in, which is your ideologies, your values as well. Incorporate what your mom has taught you versus what your dad has taught you. I feel like there's an energy here about inheriting some traits with from coming through from the father figure that you're not very proud of. And I feel like growing up, you might say like, oh, I would never be like him, or I don't like it when he does that. And then you find yourself as an adult, the older you get, the more you realize that actually I'm a lot like my father. So I feel that coming through for many of you, the ones that this apply to. And so, as much as you try to run away from it, I feel like it still affects you. And so you want to, spend this month trying to rectify that situation however you can, either through behavioral change, physically to, not behave the way that he behaves. And likewise, I feel that even though you might not be proud of these, his actions, you're still following in his footsteps in some way. And I feel that you're being very hard on yourself because of it. So they're saying, like you're dealing with some inner conflict as it plays out in your life, where you're just like, I will never be like him. And yet you are coming into, this month or this year, behaving in a way that you are not proud of yourself about. What I'm also feeling here is the way to break away from that. The way to really break away from that is to really look at your mother. If you're dealing with that, for example, look at your mother and look at how she is living. And they're saying here, I want to say like building your foundation and, creating that financial security for yourself is going to allow you to be an independent person. So this means breaking out of financial dependencies, okay? Seeking ways to either create for yourself that financial foundation, rebuild it yourself, so that you can be really, really free to do whatever it is that you want, and you're not going to be restricted by the people that you might have in the past been financially dependent on. And it might be the only way that you can, come to terms and rectify these inner conflicts that you have within yourself. So, which brings us to the next point here. The 10th house deals with your career, and it also deals with your father. And one of the reasons why I brought up the father image is I want to talk about this card, but I want to provide a little bit of context first. So the father figure is showing up here in the same suit as you, a water sign. You might literally have a father that is a water sign, which is, you know, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, Sun, Moon, or Rising. And when the water sign's shown up in the reverse position, it's basically somebody that is a little bit kind of, I want to say, they don't operate from an emotional perspective. Okay, so they might like be very responsibility oriented, where they go through the motions of, you know, being the breadwinner. They go through the motion of being the father. They go through the motions of being the husband. But emotionally, they're just not happy. They were kind of checked out. They were just, you know, going through the motions without being emotionally invested. So I feel some type of estrangement here when it relates to the father. Okay. And what I'm also feeling with this card in terms of your career. And your career, I feel like with the Knight of Cups in the reverse, this is a career track where I feel like you're forced to do things that you don't really believe in. You're forced to say things that might not be representative of your own values or the values that you want to promote. So I feel like you might be, they want to say like you might want to be careful about selling out for some of you. Okay, so just be careful about that. I also feel in your career sector, when it comes with the Knight of Cups in the reverse, you might be literally dealing with somebody who is just completely insincere. They don't really believe in the things that they're saying, and yet they're just in a position because it's comfortable or because it's expected of them. So I feel like there is a lot of covert energy in your career sector, and you want to. It's almost like this is not set in stone. It's kind of volatile, and things can change one day to the next. And so I feel that if this is the career track that you're in, you're going to need to find something a little bit more stable, because the 10th house is directly related. Well, it's directly across from the 4th house. And if the 4th house, which is, you know, your housing environment and your career, if these are not working in accordance with one another, one can destabilize the other. And I feel like that's what's happening right now. If you're in a career track where you feel like, you know, you feel like you have to misrepresent your values, definitely seek a new one. Seek a new career track. If you feel like you're just going through the motions because the job is comfortable, I feel that returning back to school is going to be very good for some of you. It's going to allow you to figure out, like, have a better sense of direction about what you need to do. And I mentioned this last month for the mid-month reading. I feel like a lot of you need to be in school because you're very bright and you have potential. And if you're in a career track where you're just going through the motions because of financial security or whatever it is, you're not going to be happy, and you're underemployed. You're underutilizing your skills and your talents, and that's not good, okay? So just something to think about for those of you who are dealing with that. Now, let me see here. The 11th house deals with friends and group associations. So we have the 3 of Wands, and this is basically waiting on friends. Waiting on people to call, waiting on people to like, it's funny, waiting on people to reach out to you. And I say it's funny because the 5th house is the Hangman, where, you know, you're not going out as much. And then with your friends, you're waiting on them. So I feel like some of them, you might like be very busy, so you're not able to respond to them in a swift manner. And I feel like some of them have moved on. They're like moving on with their lives. There's a lot of travel regarding your friends. So they might be, you know, from more like a worldly crowd. They might be of different, you know, cultural background, ethnic background, for example. So I feel like you might not have the opportunities to go out as much and to reconnect with old friends. So I feel like there's an energy about them turning their back. Okay. So just be aware of that. Try to be a little bit more diligent about reaching out. Okay. As it relates to your group association, this is a very, very good card. And I feel like new career path, new income generating opportunities will be made available to you if you expand your social, you know, groups, and even your the organizations that you get involved with, the group associations that you link up yourself with. Okay, so there's a lot of opportunities coming through. Even a job offer for a long-term career is what I'm seeing here. Now, the 12th house is basically house of secrets. It's a very psychic house as well. So let me say that based on this spread, you have a lot of spiritual energy coming through. We have the Emperor and the Empress, and now we have the High Priestess. So the High Priestess is basically your intuition kicking in overdrive. And this is basically spiritual guidance coming through, mainly because you're doing something you're not supposed to. Okay? And that's going to apply. I feel like a lot of you are in a position at work or something where you feel like you have to compromise your values. And then other people, it's kind of like you feel like there's some shady energy going on in your work sector or even in your career. And you're not really sure where to turn or who to turn to confront this situation. And then others, you might be kind of like lost for a career track. You might just be like, I'm not really emotionally happy anymore. I want to change my career. And you don't really know how to go about it, or you don't really know like what's appropriate for you. So we have the spiritual card coming through in your 12th house. And the 12th house deals with secrets, institutions, as well as it's a psychic house. So this is like intuitive knowledge coming through very strongly so that you can auto-correct the course of your life, or even, you know, have a sense of guidance as to what you need to do and what you have to move forward with. This is a card about secrets overall. So it's a card regarding secrets, things that are being concealed in the house of secrets. So I'm going to pull out a few more cards just to see what's going on with you. I feel like, you know, your communication is problematic. So this is like misrepresenting yourself or saying things that might not be entirely truthful. And it's also showing up here. So I feel like you might be projecting some qualities. You might be like this, so you're expecting other people to be like this. Or other people are behaving this way to you, so you're withholding information. So I have the Queen of Swords and the Three of Pentacles. Okay. So let me just say, this is, you're harboring. I feel like you are holding in some type of secrets. Okay. And I feel like it might have been for 2 years. So you're holding something in for 2 years. That's interesting. So first of all, we are dealing here with an air sign. So this is an Aquarius, a Gemini, or a Libra. And this might be somebody that was demanding answers of you, that was trying to be truthful, and that was like, you know, they're beckoning you to come forward. And it's also linked up here with the Three of Pentacles. This could be somebody that is a, I want to say like a work partner, or somebody in your work environment, or somebody that you might be involved with in the work environment, like even romantically. So there's some secrets that you're harboring related to, you know, something that happened 2 years ago, and it deals with some work environment. So I'm going to leave it at that. Okay. So this, obviously, if it's coming from you, you already know what it pertains to. So just be careful about secrets coming to light. So I feel like you're holding something back, like you're not being truthful about something here. Whatever that means, you might not be truthful about how you make your money.